you still have a long way to go, and we're jumping into Champ Select. So let's just take a look at the champions that are going to get picked here. I wanted to throw out that Samira is on my watch list as a champion that is not allowed in Worlds play, but is allowed in this tournament here. So Samira to keep an eye out for. We have a Camille band from Kent State. That's direct respect to Jin, who is an amazing Camille player. And reminds me of when these two teams met last. It was Starpwnr 12, their AD, was in the top lane on Poppy against Jin's Camille, and Jin's Camille ended up split pushing and diving them from the Camille into Poppy. So getting rid of that champion, very important.
Speaking of AD, if we look on the side of Bar Esports, they actually have a different AD carry playing today. Mid laner turned to bot lane, just like Perks turned to bot lane.
Yeah.
Here we have Deku. He's the news, I guess, starting ADC for now, playing for Bar Esports today. So definitely interesting to see how that plays and twists up the draft for Kent State Esports.
Definitely. We see that Samir ban coming out now, and so we won't be able to get a look at that champion. And also Lilia coming in as a ban, maybe targeted towards my Cox Small Bros as one of the premier farming junglers. And Keck, I'd like to just mention to everyone watching, the meta in Worlds has shifted to a more jungle hard carry meta, hard farming meta. I see players like Rect for Kent State was really good with the Volley Bear set early, level 3, kind of play for your lanes jungle. But now we see a meta that's more Lilia and Graves and sort of power farm and play through the jungle. So I'm wondering what junglers to see with the Lilia ban. Are we going to see a Graves? Are we going to see a Nidalee here in this level of play? And it's going to be a first pick Ornn. Ornn is just too valuable of a champion. You get those free item spikes at 14 and 15. You get a tank. He's good into most lanes, but that leaves open a Jax counter pick, a Fiora counter pick, and I'm sure Jin would have something up his sleeve to answer this first pick here. They will go with Braum.
Interesting choice for the Braum early pick here.
Braum is a counter to Ornn because he can shield his
ultimate,
ultimate, which is very important. Not only that, but if Ornn wants to bring the ulti through the Braum's team, Braum can shield behind the team and stop it before it even gets to Ornn for the knock through. So Braum, a common answer into Ornn, and that's why we see that pick here.
And we're going to see the Sion pick here, going in for, I believe, Jin in the top lane. It's a good counter to the Ornn, good answer. And we see an Evelyn locked in as well.
Yeah, Evelyn, I have a champion under Rect as one of his adaptations to the farming meta is Evelyn. Not a champion that I mentioned, but one that can... really likes to farm to 6, okay? Likes to full clear, farm to 6, and really just look to mid-game spike with that AP jungle item. And Pantheon, this is a champion that we've seen Kent State run multiple times before it was even a hard meta. And the response from Bar is going to be a Sivir. So I like Sivir in the sense that she can spell shield the Evelyn charm. That seems really important. Not only that, but the Pantheon jump is pretty telegraphed. Most players can spell shield that, no problem. So Sivir, a nice, safe, reliable wave clear heavy pick. And the two tanks in Braum and Sion looks like they're going late with some team fights here.
The other thing I want to point out is that because Deku is not actually their starting AD carry, he's actually a mid lane main. Coming in, like putting someone who doesn't typically play AD carry on a champion like Sivir or Ashe, something more utility based.
Yeah.
It enables their team to be more flexible. Say, hey, we already know that this is not exactly our strong side. He's not a main at this role, but we'll put him on Sivir. Like Sivir is a very really safe, reliable AD carry. She farms up, wave clears, has the crit. She does do big damage once it gets to that late game with those ricochets. So really good team pick here. Not to mention her on the hunt ultimate provides a lot of utility for the team.
Most definitely, and we saw that they took away. So Bar Esports took away Lucian and Ashe, two common pairings that we've seen with the Pantheon for this team, which leaves up the Jinx. And I think Jinx might be a component that Kent State's comp is missing. They need heavy AD damage over the top to supplement for their AP bursts and their tanky utility. They really need some DPS to round out their damage profile. We see a Rek'Sai coming in. I like Rek'Sai in this comp because Rek'Sai can kind of dominate the early game, and Sivir can wave clear the mid game to get them too late, where they want their tanks to really be performing in those river team fights for neutral objectives.
Not to mention, Bar Esports is also saying, hey, we don't really need to play that farming jungle meta. We'll actually just counter-pick your Evelyn
Great point.
Here.
Great point. Bar is opting into not a farm-heavy jungler, not a late spike jungler, not even a 6 spike jungler. They're going full level 3. They want those scuttle crabs. They want to win the 2v2s and the 3v3s early and snowball their lead. We see a Nico Lock and a Draven Hover. This is really interesting to me. It will be the Draven. This is absolutely the spice pick of the draft, the pick to keep your eye on. This is a champion that really relies on killing champions to be effective. What do you think about that pick, looking at the 5 champions here for BAR once we see their last lock?
Well, Draven Pantheon, if that's not a kill lane, I don't know what is. That's probably the most lethal lane. But at the same time, I'm looking at Bar Esports' side. Like, it's Sivir Braum. It's such a safe bot lane.
Right.
So they're going to have to really put a lot of emphasis on this bot lane to really get Draven rolling here.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to... I mean, depending on how well Bar Esports plays this bot lane, because they have the champions to mitigate aggression. They have the champions to deny the Pantheon stun. They have the CC from the Braum to keep them safe. They have the shield. They have all these defensive utility for their laning phase. So I really want to see how they play this out here. Because if Bar Esports missteps, or if they miss a key cooldown or a key ability, and Kent State is watching closely, like I can really see start Poner 12 on here on this Draven, really just snowball that bot lane.
Definitely, and I think if you're not going to get kills in the 2v2 lane, because in competitive 5v5, especially high diamond, a lot of laners aren't just going to walk into your Draven Pantheon. They're going to be on, comms with their team and be a bit more cautious. If you're not going to be getting kills and cashing in those adoration stacks on Draven, I want to see Drake stacking for that pick. Otherwise, you're going to get outclassed by Sivir in terms of wave clear, AoE damage, and overall threat. Another thing to point out here, Keck, you've been around for many weeks now. We see Applause. She is probably our most revered support in the league, and it's close between her and a few others. But she's on a Braum, a disengaged support. She's typically on a hook support, really setting up her teams and kind of that driving force, the play make. And part of the reason Bar is so coordinated is often because of Applause, and the way she pulls the trigger feels really smooth with them. So having her on Braum, this kind of disengage, might throw a wrench in their game plan, but it's going to be on Rek'Sai and Syndra. That mid lane 2v2, that's where my eyes are for Bar to establish an early game lead.
That's the one thing I like that you pointed out there with the whole disengage is not being Applause's style. I feel like something I've noticed when being a player myself in competitive games is knowing the limits of the champion you play, being extremely comfortable, because that's actually a really important factor when you draft your champions here.
Yeah.
So I hope Bar Esports, I hope she's comfortable enough on Braum to continue making these plays.
Right.
Like you said, it is a disengaged champion, Braum is. So hopefully, like you said, it doesn't mess with their playstyle. Hopefully Bar Esports didn't tunnel too much on that Braum pick to be a counter to the Ornn.
Right.
Hopefully they are able to still play the champion to its full extent.
Definitely, and that's a great point. And that's going to be it for us for now. We will catch you on the Rift after a short break. Do not go anywhere. Do not touch your browser, and get ready for some hype League of Legends. And we are live with our Week 2 of Round 1 of our League of Legends Saturday Series playoffs. That means best of 5. 0-0. We have Boosted Animals Reborn, Bar Esports, going up against Kent State University Esports. You can see their records here. Bar was 6-1 in the regular season. Kent State was 5-2, so these teams are about neck and neck. Kent State's only losses were to Miami, a team waiting in the finals for the winner of this bout here. And their other loss was to BAR. So these teams have met. We talked about it in the pre-show. It went 3 games. It was 2-1 BAR. So looking forward to a competitive series here. Looks like a 5-point start line of scrimmage. We have Condurex here in the top lane for BAR, Wrecked in the jungle, Kenny in the mid lane, Star Poner 12 on the Draven here at AD, and Moosinator on support. For Kent State, we have Jin in the top lane, Mycox, Small Bros on jungle, Hamlet here in the mid lane, Deku at AD, and Applause at support. But wait a second, a late invade. Keck, the late invade worked out. It's the Evelyn first, but that's not what you want to see.
Actually, just want to quickly point out real quick that Kent State is actually blue side, and Bar Esports is actually red side. We just have a quick slip up in the overlay, but just for the viewers at home just watching us, just Bar Esports is red side and Kent State is the blue side.
You could tell Kent State is blue because they have the Ornn, and Ornn was first pick of the draft. But Keck, let's talk about that late invade. Kent State came prepared with a game plan, a level 1 game plan that results in Evelyn getting first blood, not only first blood, but the enemy blue buff, and now she is in her own red quadrant off to a great start, and this is exactly what you want, obviously, as an Evelyn. I think one of the mini games that's going on here for Kent State is going to be getting that Evelyn, her Runic Echoes, and her level 6, her Invis, and her ulti as fast as possible. And what better start than a late invade that cashes in?
Another thing I wanted to point out here is that I really do like what Kent State has done with their draft. Again, Kent State is blue side. Oh, and here we see some aggression coming in from the bot lane here. Draven and Pantheon finding a stun onto Deku, but Deku's just going to get some return damage. It looks like they actually lost part of that trade.
Yeah, the return damage from Sivir kind of caught me by surprise.
Oh, and now we have a gank in the mid lane. Rek'Sai looking for Ascension mid onto Kenny, but Kenny's just going to pop a clone and just run away for safety.
Yeah, and that mid lane 2v2, Syndra, Rek'Sai, two incredibly dangerous champions from early to mid game. So the fact that Kenny can avoid that first gank without blowing flash is really good here.
Right. And that's just one of the things. Like, when you're playing against a Rek'Sai, you should already assume and be ready that you are going to get camps in the mid lane.
Oh, yeah.
Rek'Sai loves ganking mid.
He can come from so many different angles. Just the way he can traverse terrain and get over walls creates really unique pathing. And
and we have a root coming in from the mid lane. Kenny finding a root onto Hamlet's Syndra, just getting some damage down. This is what I like about their draft here. I was talking about this earlier. The Draven pick is a really strong lane in the bot lane that gives him prio. Nico can somewhat mitigate. Oh, and we have a flash root coming in from Kenny, not finding the mark. But the charm comes through. Hamlet's taking so much damage, but Rek'Sai here on the return and the counter gank. Double kill going over to Mike on that Rek'Sai.
My Cox Small Bros in the mid lane. You do not want a 2v2 Rek'Sai Syndra. It may have looked like a free gank on Hamlet, but like you said, you should always expect the Rek'Sai's in mid lane, and when he shows up, he is by far the strongest champion in that 2v2 at level 3. I'm sorry, she. Rek'Sai, she is the strongest champion level 3 there, so messing with that 2v2 early, maybe not the best idea, but great job by my Cox Small Bros to stay in proximity, make sure Hamlet is safe, and cash in on that double. And it's already a back-and-forth game between these two teams here in Game 1.
Yeah, I'm thinking Rex here on that Evelyn was getting a little bit too antsy, because remember, the point of the champion isn't to gank pre-6. You pick the Draven for the Evelyn, you pick the Nico to kind of mitigate some of the aggression from Syndra. The point is, you want to be able to let Evelyn farm to 6 as safely as possible. Now, the Rek'Sai counter pick is there to track the Evelyn, help see where she paths, and look for possible invades. But remember that the Evelyn really doesn't have that kill potential until 6.
Right. Especially Nico Evelyn, right? Doesn't really pack the guaranteed kill punch. I think if it was a different mid-jungle duo for Kent State, it would have possibly resulted in a kill, but just those two champions in a Rek'Sai. And I think our HUD is still... Okay, we are working on that right now.
Just a quick question. Was Yone banned?
Not that I remember, no.
I'm really shocked that Kenny didn't just opt for the Yone into Syndra. Because that would give...
Syndra was last pick. It was blind.
It was blind, but at the same time, you don't want to have jungle mid be the same source of damage. You have double AP coming in from Kent State's jungle mid duo. Evelyn, Nico both do primarily AP damage. I mean, you could make the argument that Nico could go on hit and go AD, but this doesn't seem to be the case here for Kenny. It's Nico. He's going with the double Doran's ring. He went to electrocute. That's not an on-hit build.
Yeah, that's a great point you're bringing up, Keck. I'm glad you're highlighting it. In the mid-jungle 2v2, which is arguably the most important 2v2 on the map, it's better to mix your damage, AP and AD. That way you can't get too much value out of an early null Magic Mantle or a Merc Treads purchase, because if Merc Treads... For instance, if Syndra buying Merc Treads means you can never chain the CC between Nico and Evelyn, that's too much value in just that one item purchase, and it's because you're doubling the AP mid and jungle.
Not to mention that these mid laners, they can just take the MR component from the rune setup. That's just free MR.
Yeah.
So just a big aggressive coming in from Bar Esports here on that. No, not Bar. Okay, the HUD's fixed now. Just a little bit of over-aggression coming in from Kent State's, like Evelyn and Nico really shouldn't be looking to take 2v2s in that mid lane, not respecting the fact that Rek'Sai can literally go mid from any angle. Something they have to take note of, like if they're going to gank mid lane, they have to be ready if that Rek'Sai's going to be there. And look like this. Rek'Sai is really fed right now, and she's looking for aggression onto Evelyn. She gets the Praise Seeker, hits the mark onto Rek, but she's not 6 yet. She can't pop the ultimate. And teleport's going to be forced from Scion, from Jin here. Oh, and the root from Nico onto Mike Oxmall. And the Pop Blossom just barely finds its mark. Unable to get the kill.
Yeah, we saw the TP come in, a supportive TP from Jin. He maybe wanted to look to ult mid. I thought it may have been like a Drake call, but then we saw one of his teammates getting tied up in the river, but nothing resulted from that play other than Jin having used TP, but he was probably on his way back to lane anyway. Pretty soon, Keck, we're going to have Herald and Drake up, so we will get the opportunity to see if the teams want to split the map, prioritize one side of the map, and trade those objectives, or if they're going to meet head-on. Pro tip, if you're Evelyn, you probably want to avoid Rek'Sai still, right? You said it was a counter pick.
Oh, yeah.
I like that you mentioned while Rek'Sai is underground in his tunnel form, he can see Evelyn even while she's invis, so I believe that is why they picked this champion. Oh, yeah. And it makes a lot of sense to me. So I think if you're Evelyn, avoid Rek'Sai, trade objectives, and try and get to late game side mission, cashing in your Draven's Adoration stacks.
Next we see down here in the bot lane, Sivir, although she died, she's actually doing a good job here, keeping up in that farm. Only 3 CS down for herself.
And I guess I should point out, Draven looks like he's going the Mirror Mana build.
He is, yeah. The pickaxe and the Fairy Charm, that goes into tier, so he's definitely going for that Mirror Mana lethality-based build.
Evelyn
definitely a
6.
cheap but efficient item.
Yeah, it's a weird item to build on Draven, right? Because when I think Draven, I think ultra aggro in lane, early kills, and snowball, right? But this item is more you're sacrificing early stats for efficiency in the mid to late game when that Mirror Mana is fully stacked. So Draven has the early power that we can see in lane, but still has some scaling to fall back onto if...
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, with a lot of misconceptions that people do have with Draven, it's like he can just... The people think he's kind of a 1v9 champion at early game, but he's actually not. Remember, at the end of the day, he's still an 80 carry. 80 carries need to scale. They need to get more 80 to, do their damage.
Crit multipliers and... Right, okay.
But with this build that Draven's doing, it's extremely efficient, extremely gold efficient is what I was trying to say, with a lot more AD. Because he's going to go the Mirror Mana. That's going to be stacking 80 over mana over time. Not to mention, he's going to be going lethality. So, Sanguine Blade, Edge of Night. These are really good items. They're all extremely cheap as well. They're all under 3,000 gold, as opposed to your standard crit items. 3,600 for Infinity Edge. Or was it 3,400? I forgot. But it's an expensive item that's not really worth it, because you have to really scale to get those items.
I see your point, and Starpowner does appear to be calmly just farming it out. Has grown a nice 21 CS lead here over Deku. That kill certainly did help.
Also, another thing I wanted to point out is that he took Hail of Blades. Hail of Blades with lethality, that will one-shot an 80 carry. If any 80 carry walks up to him by themselves, he's gonna have Sanguine Blade. He's gonna have Mandamune. Hail of Blades, that person's dead. That's so much absurd damage. Just flat AD, you don't need the crit. And here we see Rek'Sai in the bot lane looking for something cheesy here. They see that the Draven is being really, really aggressive, hard shoving that lane. And here he comes, the Grave. On the hunt coming in from the ult, from Sivir, with the Braum ultimate. Double teleport coming in through both sides of the team. And look at this. Deka's going to get a first kill onto Musinator here. Cinder ult coming, they're trying to get the kill onto Starpowner. And killing spree going over to Mike Hawksmall. And Kenny's teleported down as well. He's just going to go down as well. Double kill going over to Deku on that Sivir.
2 TPs come in, but at the end of the day, you didn't have your Evelyn, and your Ornn did not come. So you're outnumbered. It ended up being a 4v3, and a really great play from BAR here. They're going to be able to take Drake here. Evelyn is just not there, and the setup was too good. It was Rek'Sai Flash on top of Braum Flash, and just that engage combined with the fact that the bot lane for Kent State was a bit too far up. Remember, we talked Rek'Sai can come from unique angles. You don't really expect him to go. He doesn't have to go through river to be on you shortly. So nice gank by Rek'Sai, showing how strong and versatile he could be as a champion.
More action in the bot lane. Deku looks like he's overstayed. Not an 80 carry player, by the way. So they're looking for that stun onto him right now. They're running him down. Starpowner right behind him. He's going to have to force the flash. Ignite taking down. And here comes Mike Oxmall looking for a return gank. But they're just going to get out. But flash sprint for Deku. Was that really worth it, sacrificing that extra couple CS?
Probably not, and let's see if we can bring up... Yeah, we have a replay here of that skirmish in the bot lane. So you can see Pantheon Musinator here soaks a ton of the engage, but look how he's chain knocked up. And then, yeah, TP comes in from either team, but it's already man advantage to Bar, so they just continue that. Hamlet looked like he was maybe going to have a heroic Nico play, but only landed one with the ultimate, was not enough. So Bar coming out aggressive, 2 kills on their Sivir. Yeah.
Oh, and look at this, more action in the mid lane. Rekt is trying to force something here onto Hamlet's Syndra. Syndra's just going to flash away. Charmed still, but he's able to get out. But Rek'Sai, look at that. They're always going to be ganking mid lane. Rek'Sai is going to be everywhere. That's the point of the champion, is to gank non-stop.
Yeah, and
so
Rek'Sai,
it's really hard for Evelyn to find any of these plays here.
but Evelyn did get the Syndra flash, and Syndra's not running cleanse, right? So if Evelyn can return in the next 5 minutes, that's actually a pretty easy kill onto the Syndra and maybe break open that mid lane. We see they did trade the Herald for Drake, so like I mentioned, Evelyn wanting to avoid Rek'Sai, so if Rek'Sai ganks bot like he did, Evelyn can go ahead, group up with their top laner and get Herald. Now it's up to them to use this buff to get them gold, whether it's plates and they only have 40 seconds, or turrets in general, open up the map and continue to let Evelyn power farm and Draven look for his item spikes.
So, unfortunately, we can't see exactly how many stacks Draven lost from that gank, but he's only sitting at 107 stacks right now, so really huge play from Bar Esports here to deny Draven those cash-in stacks.
Top lane here, about a 25 CS lead for Jin.
Oh, and look at this, another return gank. Evelyn onto Syndra here. Evelyn's going to get the first kill of the game for herself, but the Rek'Sai ult coming through gets a kill onto the Evelyn, and he's looking for more aggression onto Kenny here. I mean, she is, I should say.
So the return gank is pretty easy. We saw a flash of Syndra is quite easy to gank, but Keck, we keep saying Rek'Sai is always mid. So that mid jungle 2v2, Syndra Rek'Sai is not one to be messed with. And I think that's the lesson that Kent State's learning right now.
Condorix is just taking the small side of this trade here. Jin on the Sion just really bullying out the Ornn pick here.
So you play top lane. I don't play many tanks. You said earlier that Sion was the counter pick to Ornn. Could you explain kind of how that goes, or is it just he can beat up on tanks better than they can?
He just beats up on tanks.
Like stat check wise, he shield too much damage.
You see the amount of damage. Like, he can just hit Ornn for free because of he outranges him.
Right.
His Q is just farther than the Bellows Breath cast.
And his E to set up the Q is pretty long. So if you're going to be autoing minions in lane, you have to risk the Sion E slow into a Q.
Not to mention, Condrix here on that Ornn also opted to go for Summoner Spellbook instead of Grasp. So in general, Sion is just going to be so much tankier. Because A, Sion already has his passive that's granting him HP through stacks. And he's getting Grasp procs like over and over again. So from just looking at a stat check point, Jin is going to be so much meatier than Ornn.
Yeah, that's a good point. And with the shield that Jin has, right, his W shield, when it comes to small chip trades, that shield has so much value. And Ornn doesn't have anything in his kit to really help him with quick trades. That's why I think Grasp is such a good option for him.
He used to have
he used to have everything. That champion used to be so annoying to lane against.
Draven looking for some aggressive 1v1 play here. Rek'Sai is here to punish the aggression. Ultimate coming through and the smite. Looking for return damage on the hot pump from the Sivir. And they're just looking to run down the Kent State Esports here. Braum ultimate coming through as well. Mike Oxball ticking down with the ignite. And the smite from the Pantheon support gets the shutdown. And he's going to stun Applause under the tower. But unfortunately, Applause's tenacity a little bit too high for that stun to really matter.
Yeah, so we see My Cock Small Bros on the Rek'Sai is making money with the blue smite into R combo, basically. But this time, he eventually steps a bit too forward. Okay, I think this is fine.
Look at some aggression here in the mid lane here. Kenny is starting to get some damage as well. But misses the roots. Gets the Q.
The Rek'Sai was finally shut down, but it went over to Pantheon. So keep an eye out for Pantheon having a lethality item early. This is a champion that he's running Conqueror, right? In these skirmishes, he can actually legitimately pop off and be a threat with a really cheap lethality item. And so we'll have to see if that comes into play at all. But Rek'Sai finally shut down, but still props to Mike Small Bros for making that play happen, being really aggressive. Right.
And look at this. From that really well-played early aggression from Mike Oxmal on this Rek'Sai, they're able to snowball through bot lane as well, even into a Draven Pantheon. Now they're going to get themselves another dragon for their team. Second Dragon of the Day is going to be over to Bard Esports here. Great secure coming in from Mike Gunsmall. And Deku trolling his support here.
And now taking a look at the gold, Bar is only up just 2,300. That's not a lot of gold, but they do have control of this bot side of the map. They have vision control. They're often in the river first, and they have the first 2 Drakes, so they are not in a hurry at all. Whereas Kent State something's gonna have to give. They're not gonna want to let them stack this Ocean Soul, because that would probably just be GG.
Oh yeah. But as of right now, if we're looking at Kent State's roster, what can they do? Their Evelyn is almost kind of been shut down a little bit. Nico is getting pushed in. Ornn, not much action has happened at all in the top lane, but Ornn lost his tower, Dad.
I think
in a completely unjungle affected lane.
So for Kent State, the surprise factor of the Evelyn and the Pantheon need to get you free picks. You need something for free. You cannot take a heads-up 5v5 against this Bar team quite yet. Evelyn needs to get you something for free. If not Evelyn, maybe a Pantheon roam to set up an outnumbered play. So we see Evelyn sneak in the bush. This is might be the kind of angle I'm thinking of.
Here comes Evelyn looking for a fight. Pantheon ultimate coming through as well. And this is a shutdown going over to Evelyn here. And it's going to have to force the Colossus Flash as well. Both the Flash of bot lane from Bar Esports were burnt during that gank. And they still killed Sivir.
And this is sort of what I was talking about. So Evelyn can appear anywhere on the map, and so can Pantheon. So as Deku is just pushing this wave, as ADs do, we see Starpawner come out of the river, and suddenly there are 3 people there. Evelyn with the potential to burst you, getting something for free. Well, not necessarily for free, because we see Herald is traded on the top side back from Bar, who's going to look for a blue side invade as well.
Oh, another thing here is that he has found an Ornn. Not sure if Mike wants to fight Ornn right now. And Kenny coming over as well. So we're looking for another topside fight. They should be extra careful here because Evelyn is in that bottom lane.
Yeah, great point. They know Evelyn's bot, and that's why they feel comfortable invading this quadrant. Jin here, happy to eat any spells here, protect his team, and make sure that this area of the map is theirs. No jungle camps over here for Evelyn. We see really nice blue wards in the bot side blue quadrant of BAR. This tells me, Keck, that possibly this might be Kent State's transitional period where they want to take control of the bottom half of the map and maybe split the jungle. We see Evelyn is pathing topside, but she knows that Bar was just in there taking her camp, so there's really nothing for her to go for top lane other than the Scuttle spawning. I would maybe like to see her revisit the enemy blue side quadrant and split the map bot. That way they can have control when the next Drake comes up, but we do see a Herald drop mid.
Yeah, and this is just Bar Esports playing to their lead, playing to their advantages. They're just getting towers left and right. Almost all three of the towers are down. Looking at bot lane, tier 1 turret is really, really low. And look at that, a lot of damage going into Syndra here. And the Sion ultimate's coming through. They're going to find a stun onto Kenny here. But it was just Kenny's clone. And some of that aggression from Bar Esports is going to be mitigated. And the Ornn ultimate coming through as well. Finds the knockup onto Syndra here. And they're trying to get a lot of return damage. Hot Blossom comes through. But unfortunately, all of Bar Esports are not in it. Pantheon is so low. And the snipe from Deku's Q finds the blade, finds the kill.
Yeah, Deku's sniper. Eventually, it's a 1-for-0. We saw the Ornn ulti did land. It wasn't blocked by the Braum shield at all, but then we saw Pop Blossom missing its mark. Kenny needed to look for a flash angle, I think, in that situation. When you're 5v5 A-ramming mid, you need to be a bit more creative.
Oh, and I think Evelyn just is greeting for these camps. She realizes that Bar Esports has complete control over this quadrant of the map. And she's looking for some return kills. There's no vision here, so she doesn't know that there's people there.
And they can keep tabs on Evelyn, which is not something Evelyn players are used to. They're used to the comfort of sneaking into invisibility and being able to travel around the map in invisibility. But with a Rek'Sai around, she can sense you.
Right.
But my point, Keck, was Rek's chance to get these camps was when he left base the last time. There was no reason for him to go top. And he actually got low-key caught out traveling from top back to the mid. And then after that fight was lost, he no longer had control of his bot side camps. And I think the opportunity to split the map, we still see them fighting over control as Drake is gonna spawn. But I think Evelyn with a pathing mistake here. But let's see how this dragon situation shakes out.
Oh, and look at this. Kensei has the the jump on them right here. They have the vision set up. Sivir is rooted for so long, and Reckless going to get the kill onto Sivir here. Deku's going to go down in the beginning of this fight. Sion ultimate coming in from Jin. Finds the mark onto a priority target here, but Rex is going to ult out to keep himself safe. Conrix is going to be ulted by the Syndra here, but Mike Oxmal finds a flank onto Draven here. Pops the ultimate, but he's too deep for his team. Pantheon goes down as well for the trade kill, but these are just 1-for-1s. I take that back. Sorry, 2-for-1 in favor of Kent State Esports. They had the great setup in the Dragon Pit. They had the vision ready, and they get the jump. And they're looking for more here. Kenny is going to look for another route onto Sion, but Sion looks like our Esports are going to back up a little bit, try to stall some time for Sivir to respawn for this Dragon. But looks like Kent State, they don't want to let that happen. They're starting the Dragon right now. Ocean Dragon whittling down onto Ornn here. This Dragon does a lot of damage, and it slows like crazy. Kenny's taking a huge chunk from Syndra here with the poke as well.
Jin is an absolute brick wall in this situation. Look at the space he's providing for his team. He is not taking much damage. His Q is very threatening. He's buying a lot of room for his teammates, and we see Deku returns.
Oh, and here comes the Pantheon ultimate. Looks like everybody. It's another 5v5 once again. And look at this. Rek'Sai's coming down as well from the base, so I honestly think Kent State just took way too long to start up this Dragon because their numbers advantage instantly went down to 0. And now it looks like they're going for this Dragon right now. Kent State really wants to steal this. They don't want to give Soul Point. And here comes Pantheon. He's going in. Ornn ultimate popping through as well. They're going to find multiple knockups on the Hunt popped as well to dodge the Ornn aggression. And the Dragon is going to go down to Kent State. Pop Blossom from Kenny finds 3. Massive turnaround kills here. Killing sprint going over to Rex. Double kill onto that as well. Deku's running for his life. And that was a fight won over to Kent State.
What an absolute brawl. Kent State wins the fight. They get the Drake. That Drake is so important. And ultimately, it was an Ornn ulti on the clumped up backline members of Bar that allowed them to have the space to go into the pit and contest it. And at the end of the day, they come out with the win. I think we have a replay here. Look at the way these teams are jockeying back and forth. And watch Hamlet here on the Nico with the flash ulti, just so much CC damage. We see Rek'Sai with the return angle, but drops, and Evelyn scooping up the kills here. I'm actually surprised of the front to back that Kent State was able to pull off with their champions here. And with the amount of space that Jin was creating on the Sion, he is definitely a massive force, but was finally chipped out. And like I said, the Ornn ultimate and the Nico ultimate, key abilities in that river situation.
Right. And we're starting to see the power of Kent State's 5v5 here. The Nico ultimate, the Ornn ultimate, they have such great team fight in like AoE setup here. While the rest of our esports here, it's kind of more single target.
Right.
Or it really does depend on Hamlet, Syndra here to really find some good picks or multiple man stuns. And Jin's just gonna ignore Ornn here. He's just gonna get the Demolish Proc on that tower. This is the thing about Ornn. Like, all his damage is just negated because Jin just pops the shield.
Right, right. I think once Sivir completes IE, they will have that AoE component that they're lacking of damage threat. Right. Of anybody that's in the fight has the chance of being tagged by a crit. What are they called? Ricochet. A crit ricochet, which can get into the hundreds of damage on some of these backline carries. The threat of Evelyn is probably at its highest in the game right now after she finishes Death Cap and is looking for some stacks on the Medjais. Draven approaching 3 items. I think Evelyn and Draven mostly will fall off a bit towards the late game, and if they keep lining up 5v5, I do like ours
comp look at this.
better.
Kenny is in the top lane. He's looking for something cheesy, but he's just going to walk out.
Kenny needs his flash, I think. I think Kenny wants to chill and farm until his flash is back up. I hate seeing Nico ultimates kind of whiff in fights, and I think flash is absolutely crucial on that champion.
Oh, and I want to point out, Draven's mana immune is finished stacked. He has the Murder mana now. So he's going to have quite a bit of AD. He's opting for a full lethality / life armor penetration build, so he's actually going to be shredding Jin here as well.
Shredding Jin?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I believe you, Keck.
He's
I mean, he does have the armor pen component.
He has armor pen and lethality, so he's going to do quite a bit of damage. Because right now, Jin only has that Sunfire kit. That's the only armor he has.
Sivir's items, not too bad though. Like I said, working on that IE. She will be the late game scaling component for her team. Horn items coming in soon, though. We'll have to see exactly where those go and how that affects the game. Because remember, they prioritize Ornn as a first pick for a reason.
Oh, here comes the Death Crown.
The Death Crown onto the Evelynn right away. This means she can probably one-shot all but Jin. And maybe a pause for Bar. So eyes on Evelynn. And I want to point out, Kek, do you remember their river setup that got that initial pick that ended up giving them Ocean Drake? Everybody in the river was completely still. And this is because they were aware of the Rek'Sai's underground tunnel vision, right? Tremor sense, thank you. And the fact that they were all in the river standing completely still and then pounce tells me that they've already adapted to kind of this unique game situation that Rek'Sai brings where your movement can kind of give away your intention.
Right. And looks like this, Condorix is going to face check into 3 members of Bar Esports here, but he's just going to dash out. Start from Jin, but look at how tanky Jin is with that. Oh, yeah. And look at this! Pantheon is in the wrong place at the wrong time. Alright, Rekt is looking for some damage onto Jin here, but Jin is just going to walk away like a champ.
Watch Nico's pushing top and has TP. There's no reason for Nico to TP right now because the situation is kind of doomed with Pantheon dying, but he'll be up soon. And the pressure she creates means that Syndra has to return and go there, which means only 4 members for Bar are here. They just need to try and clear this wave and then...
oh, and she finds the stun.
It's all about Drake though, right? We don't... Penn State does not want Bar to get the 3rd. This is very important. Remember, it's Ocean Soul. This Soul is very broken in team fights. And I think it's uncontested. It's going to die too fast.
Another thing I wanted to point out here is that Nico opted for 2nd item Death Cap. So they're really ready to just like invest and upgrade those really efficient items with the Ornn. Death Cap 2nd item.
I don't think that is optimal. Well, maybe it is on Electrocute. You're not really going the Glacial build. You're not going setup. You're going for Burst. So,
right. So that Pop Blossom really needs to land on priority targets here,
right,
for Kent State to win any of these team fights.
100%. So I'm looking for Kenny's flash here. That's a big one. Kenny is a player that in this league has made many of these explosive plays. So he, of all the players here, certainly capable of making that happen. And now could be the lull state of the game. It's certainly late enough for either team to look at Baron, and we see both teams are playing towards Baron. But Bar is going to be comfortable here farming it out for 4 minutes, only taking what's free and then getting set up on Drake. And we know they can strict the vision of the neutral that they look to get. So we see Jin here. The side he's on, this red quadrant, they're going to be in there warding that in about 2-3 minutes. But for now, they're just going to be playing Baron. So I think neither team, I don't think, will do anything too explosive unless Kent State feels the pressure of that soul point and thinks that they need to make a move for Baron.
Right.
Which, wouldn't you say you should be maybe looking to be aggressive here for Kent State? You're on your spikes. You're on your Ornn items. Your champions like Evelynn and Draven are 3-item peaking. I think.
Oh, and Deku looks like he's a bit too far up.
Ooh.
Good flash to dodge the last caress, but the ultimate from Draven coming through. Only going to pop the Phantom Dancer shield.
Yeah,
but
so
this forces Sivir to reset.
Getting that flash is really important, though. It's not going to be up until 36 minutes. They just time that. Wait.
Oh, but the Sion ultimate finds the mark onto Draven here. He's chain CC'd for so long. The shutdown coming in, going over to Syndra here.
Jin, just the train coming out of nowhere. Completely smacks Starponer. Sets him up for his team to just eat him alive. And now Bar could look for Baron.
And look at the river here. Kent State had no idea that Jin was going to come from that bottom side to just ult into the Draven. And so I think Starponer was just a bit too disrespectful. He forgot that there's a Sion in this game.
And when you get the audio cue, I was like, where is he coming from for a second? Usually it's right up the lane, but from the side angle. And they do start Baron.
Yeah, there's no AD carry, so they want to turn this, they want to look for this Baron bait. They want to look for that turnaround team fight. And Evelyn's going to pop the charm onto Syndra here. Oh, here comes Ornn looking for the knockup onto Bard. Braum here, and it looks like this. Sion finds priority targets. Mike Oxbach finds multiple knockups. Pop Blossom from Kenny does so much damage, but he has no follow-up. His team is all dead. There's no one there to kill anyone.
That was a crazy Pop Blossom, but he was almost entirely alone. You saw the damage numbers come in and the CC. It looked like a highlight play, but for what? The setup wasn't there. Baron's going to go over to Bar, and they will be just in time to line up for Fort Drake.
Oh, but maybe that Draymond ultimate might get a kill onto Applause here? Oh, unfortunately, no. But that was insane setup coming in from Kenny on that Nico Pop Blossom. That's so much damage.
Let's give it another look here, Keck. They're fighting without their AD, right? So they're 4v5. We see Orn goes in, but he's only half going in. Huge knockup by Sion. Jin is absolutely crushing it on this tank. And then, wow, look at that damage from the flash in the Nico ultimate. Absolutely insane. But you know what? It was in response to an already great Bar play. It wasn't on the attacking end. It wasn't an initiation or a flank of any sort. It was in response. So, like I said, Bar gets Baron, and their Ocean Soul is now in their sights.
Yeah, and now look at this. Jin finds Draven again with the sign ultimate, the chain CC, the auto attack, automation cancel into the Tiamat. Oh, and Rex is in a bad situation too. Ultimate coming in from Rex side. That's just 2 kills. Going over to Bar Esports.
Wow.
Kent State is just not on the rhythm right now.
The solo bolo.
Oh, and the flash coming through. Kenny's looking for the Pop Blossom. Not as much damage as we saw in the last fight. But unfortunately, that's 3 free kills going over to Bar Esports here. And looking like they're going to siege for that mid lane inhib.
Yeah, Bar in total control here. They can take inhib. Drake's coming up here in a minute. Or I'm sorry, 15 seconds, so they can run straight to it. They
might try to end the game here. Teleport from Syndra coming in. Or an ultimate trying to get some wave clear done. Teleport from Syndra is going to deter some of the minion aggression. But look at the damage coming in. This is just going to be a game closer for Bar Esports.
Yeah, why not just end here? I'm not sure why I was even considering the Drake, but wow, Jin on this Sion, just an absolute roller coaster tycoon. He's solo boloed Star Pwner to just close the game. And that was a really back and forth game between Kent State and Bar, but when it came down to it, I think the execution on the Rex side early game, the mid jungle 2v2, which is insanely important, was in the favor for Bar. They were able to translate that into more Drakes.